Hello, this is Brad Hutchings. I'm going live today. This is a solo version of the unlinked stand-up. And I just want to, I'm going to do these from time to time. I kind of lead the unlinked stand-up. It was my idea. So I'm going to take the liberty of having my phone go off while I'm recording these things for you guys. And let me turn that off real quick so we don't get any more interruptions. Yeah. What I want to talk today about is a quote that my fellow co-host Soman Sarkar has posted recently, quite a lot. And I'm going to attribute this to him, although he attributes it to somebody else. But I'm going to attribute his paraphrase to him. The purpose of tech innovation is to bring magic affordably to the masses. And you're wondering what the rest of this picture is. So there's a picture of me that I particularly like over at the left. This is after I did some yard work. Yard work is kind of new to me. I got a big yard. It's a lot of fun. I move dirt. I level fields. I pull acres of weeds. It's amazing. And the Nevada sky is amazing too. So that's why the picture of me is there. The picture in the middle, it is not not a medical specimen. It's actually my first attempt at brewing mead. Now, a year ago when I moved to Nevada, I figured I needed a hobby, and I started looking at some great YouTube channels with home brewing. And these were, I think the two that have really stuck are City Steady Brews. You can go look that up, and Rainford's Brew Lab. That's kind of a new channel since December. Like, he's really taken it seriously. He's an English chap, and this is what I've learned from these channels, watching them for almost a year now, and that is there's a lot of equipment to get into home brewing, and it's very important to get the temperatures right. It's very important to pick the right yeast. When you ferment stuff, it's super important to get the recipe right. And there's all sorts of recipes they try, and there's process, and it takes 3 and 4 weeks. And you've got to use use the right yeast. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff you got to do. You got to have the right equipment. You got to have the right way for the air to escape without letting the bugs in. You got all this stuff. I've been watching this for a year. I've never gathered everything. Oh, the temperature's got to be right. Temperature has to be perfect. If the temperature's not perfect, the fermentation will stop, and then you're left without good brew. I've watched this stuff for a year. I have never delved. Delved is how you can tell that this is AI and not me personally. That's the key word for you. I'd put an M dash in here if I could verbally. Just to give you another clue that I didn't write this, or I'm not speaking this. It's all AI. But you know what I'm saying here. Anyway, I hadn't delved into this, I guess. I hadn't actually done anything because it just looked too complicated. But I was going to learn it all. I was going to get to 80% competency and then buy all the stuff and then do all the stuff, right? And then Friday, I was just like, you know what? There's this old jar of unopened yeast. It's about 9 years old in the cupboard. And I got a half a bottle of honey sitting here. I wonder. And so I dug out a plastic container. It's about half a gallon. I put in half the bottle of honey. It's about 12 ounces. I knew water-wise, from the instructions on the label, it probably needed to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So I worked with the tap water to get it to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Filled up the container, added way more yeast than I needed to. I covered it because I didn't want the bugs to get in. It smelled like honey. I knew the flies would find their way in here. So I covered it with some plastic wrap, found a rubber band, and I figured, okay, what the heck? Let's just try this. Let's just see if it works. And for 2 days, nothing happened. Wasn't an appearance of anything. And I stirred it up yesterday afternoon. And I started to see a little bit of a colony forming on top, just a little bit. And then this morning I came out, and the plastic, it was not taut anymore. It had apparently ripped at some point to let the air out. and I looked on top and I saw I've got a real yeast colony going here, and it looks good. It doesn't look like mold or anything else. Doesn't look like all the things they warned me about. I didn't use the official sanitizer. I went with the hottest setting on the sink, which is, we run it hot here. So I thought that might be enough. And I used a wooden spoon to stir things up, but I haven't taken that very seriously. It's just a little experiment, really. Here's what I'm finding out is I didn't need all the high-tech stuff to make this work. Back in the 1800s, people used to do this. Like, they used to make their own bread. They used to make their own beer and wine, and mead was popular. It wasn't just, it's not just Renaissance fairs where you hear about mead. It's just go get some honey, get some yeast, get some water, brew it up in the summer because it's warm enough to do that. I don't have a heat map. Thinking tech there. I don't have a heat mat. So it's just sitting on the counter, 75 degrees in here most of the time. It's, kind of a perfect temperature for this. And 2 days in, I've got a good culture going. It's starting to smell fermenty, less like honey. I figure after about a week, I'll see if it, maybe just take a little taste and see if it's still sweet. Have a feeling it'll be dried up. I didn't start with a lot of honey in there. And then I'll filter it through a coffee filter, and I might cold crash it if it's a little cloudy. Cold crashing is where you just stick it in the fridge for a night and let the cold bring all the sediment down to the bottom. Move it to another container, maybe sweeten it up a little bit. Maybe I'll pasteurize it if I feel like I really want to. In fact, I probably should because I think I overdid it on the yeast. We'll see. Here's the point. This is a $4 experiment. I think that bottle of honey was $8 at Dollar General, and I might just go get some more and do another one. But $4 experiment. It was not. I kind of had budgeted a few $100s to get started with this hobby based on watching City Steading Brews and Rainford's Brew Lab and wanting to do it right, and then maybe even filming it and making my own. The purpose of tech innovation is to bring magic affordably to the masses. And it does seem like a lot of our tech innovation is making things that once were very simple and very well understood that we've forgotten, very difficult to do. And I would throw everything we're doing with, quote, artificial intelligence. I'm going to have another post on that today or tomorrow or Wednesday. It's the wrong thing to call it. Artificial intelligence is we're framing it completely wrong. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it matters. But we've made this very complicated where you have to go to an algorithm that runs on computers you could never afford, that you lease for seconds at a time from the cloud, and you get your answers. You get your code, you get your answers, you get your stories written, whatever you're trying to do, and you're delighted. And we're going to make two companies, OpenAI and Anthropic, worth $1 trillion or $2 trillion each, depending on the day, depending on, whether Sam is apologetic enough, depending on whether we can stomach Dario. We're going to do that. And we're going to build out all these data centers that nobody wants. And turns out you could probably get all your code and all your answers very fast from a Mac Mini sitting on your desk. And this is the angle I've taken, and I've shown some people how to do it, and they're like, really, you can do that? And similarly, as much as I love those channels, those YouTube channels where I've learned all about brewing mead and wine and beer and all sorts of things, I don't need all their technology to make this affordable or easy. In fact, I've got a plastic jug. I had a 9-year-old unopened bottle of yeast, jar of yeast, glass jar, so we'll call it a bottle of yeast, and a half a bottle of honey, cheap honey from Dollar General. And I'm gonna have me some home brewed mead in a few more days. It seems to be working out just fine. I'd like you to think of things that way. All right. That's my lesson for today. We may do more of these. Leave comments, a like. What do you like about this? I'll probably do more of this rather than writing. These streams of consciousness are a little bit more fun. And go 10 minutes and, sort of see how it goes. Hope you enjoy it. You know what? Like, go brew yourself some mead today. I'll give advice in the comments. Take you about a week. And it's probably good for you. All right, be good.